verify compliance with open meetings law notification and adoption of agenda. Please join me in a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone. Our next item is comments from the audience regarding agenda items. Would anyone care to address the board this evening? Would anyone care to see none? Move to reports. Item 4. We'll start with our committee reports. Anyone have any?
That would be me. So we had a finance and facilities meeting on July 18th. We talked about the year-end financials. So far, we're pretty good with the years and close to we're going to follow with that later. We also talked about the 16-17 budget. We'll have further discussions on the 16th and the 15th. We'll also be discussing early retirement and thinking about an alternative structure to the one that's been proposed in the past. We had a quick facility plan update with the projects. Just as a reminder, this is a live document, so feel free to access that. And then we also discussed the ADP study briefly because that's fully into the facilities plan. So we'll be happy to see everybody at 6:30 on the 15th. And I'm assuming we're back in order? Yes. And that's it. Thank you. And policies?
Policy is a good meet. Sometime. July 14th. Bold. We have 2 items that are on the new business, so they'll be in front of you. And we reviewed several other policies, and there's no recommendation to change any of the ones that came in front of us, other than these 2, so that's all I have.
Personnel have not met and having
We're just meeting joint with finance next Monday.
anything else? Anyone else? Superintendent?
School hasn't started yet, but there are some things as we're gearing up for that. We shared out last Tuesday night at the Hills Corners Night Out. On the block party table, we actually we prepared some dates, back to school dates, so parents who stop by there could take a look at that. So just wanted to share with you. August 30th is the date at all the schools. So 4:30 to 5:30 at Hills Corners Elementary, and at Edgerton 4:30 to 6:30. I go there last because there's an ice cream social at 6. I figured out, so that will be the last stop that night. And at the middle school, 5 to 6:30. High school has both iPad pickup and photos on the 17th, 18th, and 22nd. And they are going to do a virtual back to school. More information on that tour for parents to be able to look at. Also doing something new, and I think I shared that out before, but for folks who are watching, it's something new, sort of a joint venture with the Booster Club to some extent, having a back to school tailgate because school hasn't started yet, so sort of pre-back to school on Friday, August 26th. So inviting freshmen in first at 5 o'clock in the auditorium to welcome them, and then down at Falcon Field at 6 o'clock, a tailgate for all students. And then the game starts at 7, so that's something new in terms of that and getting students, because it is before school starts, and especially our freshmen feeling welcome a little bit, so they aren't, not that they don't know where Falcon Field is, but also feeling a little bit more in a group of folks that can all get together and do all of that. Our fiber optic project, while is a little bit delayed, we're waiting for some permits from the city of Greenfield. But we should be we'll have slight delays this Friday in interrupted service, and then probably once again once we switch over, but now that timeline's been pushed back a little bit to once the students are back in school. So during that time, we'll hopefully be able to do quick interruption. Likely for us, we planned ahead and won't be without service, because if we went with the original timeline, we would have been without internet service for a gap of time. So the switch over, but our Hales Corners Elementary will see some speed changes even before that final switch over is there. So that's a good thing in terms of those projects. So construction on some of the clock spaces in Hales Corners and Edgerton are moving along. While delayed, they are finishing up now, and we're trying to be able to get back into the spaces in terms of that. So. And fall sports are well underway. Football started last week, and we have a couple more starting this week.
Thank you. Next up, summer school report. Jackie, you got some information in our hand, so.
Yeah, any questions on the information that was provided? We had a good 3 weeks with the younger students, and then the high school kids. Well, it lasted a total of 6 weeks. The students are required to be here for the length of time that it takes them to complete the course. So for some of them, that's 6 weeks, for some of them, it's 3. All depends on what they needed to finish and the rate at which they work. Questions?
I still have one question.
Sure.
No. What are the trends? Is this like up, down? How is our summer school program?
We generally run the same courses each year. There's a little bit of fluctuation with the younger students, but enrollment in those classes is slightly up this year.
I just want to compliment you. I think that I also love the credit recovery program. And yeah.
Is it the classes you're referring to that the one was up, the credit recovery stuff, or?
No, credit recovery, this year we were able to go through all of the students that needed to take a class that, or I shouldn't say who needed to, who requested to take a class. And there are summers that not all of the students end up taking classes. So in total number of kids, I didn't really compare the high school students to answer if that's up or down.
Okay.
But we got through all of the students who requested to take classes this year.
All right.
Can I just follow, maybe Doug, for at one of the finance committees, I would be curious as to the FTE students that generates through summer school and what that does for people count historically, because I think really that's sort of the follow-up question as to the number of students as how it generates FTE students in terms of fiscal or student count in terms of that on the public side.
In which way they're counting.
They are, right, but they're counted based on minutes, but it counts toward your average of
Right, but which year is it in? So are they counted as part of the people?
Coming up,
For the
since the upcoming year.
17, 18,
it'll be 16, 17.
or 16.
Correct.
I'd be interested to know how we're doing as far as the number of kids that could use credit recovery and how that's trending, and also the trending on the percentage of kids that use it that are utilized. That makes sense.
You want a further report on those numbers?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right, that could just be a memo to us, and that'd be great.
Interested to know if we're having more kids each year that are in need of something like that, and if we're having a decent percentage, an increasing percentage, decreasing percentage of kids that need it that are actually doing it.
More trending report. Okay.
I have one question. Do you know how many students got back on track that might have not been on track for graduation?
That's the same question basically
Is that the
that
same
he's
question?
asking. So basically, and we haven't put that information in, but we keep data on, that we expect at the end of freshman year, we're looking for 6 credits to be completed. And so every year we go through and we look to see, so we will add that information in, and then I'll put that back in a percentage.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, then we will move to item 5, new business, first reading of revised policy 363.2, computer network equipment and internet use. Eric has provided us some policy. So, any questions on that? If not, this will come forward to the next meeting.
Was this needed?
This was just an addition real quick to that policy because we didn't have anything addressing camera use for school-owned or district-owned equipment. We only had it if you brought your own device. So we're just moving that terminology over into the district-owned equipment policy.
I still have a repeat issue that really not identifying that there's times when photography is expected and not expected for such as sporting events and things like that, based on the policy and the handbook stuff we've had in the past anyway, that, that the student would get in trouble for getting out a camcorder or a cell phone and videotaping their brother finishing in a track meet or something like that.
This
So
only applies to during the regular course of the school day, that kind of thing.
how can we tell that?
Can you add that language to it?
How can we tell that that's?
We have different policies that apply to any after-school and extracurricular events.
that cross-reference here then?
I highly doubt it, because this would not apply to that whatsoever.
Maybe you could put the cross.
How would somebody be able to tell that that does not apply?
Okay, I mean, we can cross-reference to, I mean, that we have different policies that govern use and what's allowable, because those are generally considered public events, and we can prevent very little there.
I just want to,
recording.
I'm just trying to remove any assumption leeway there so that somebody can't get in trouble for doing something that would be expected to happen, you know, like people filming at a basketball game or something.
Sure. Kathy, can you make a note of that we cross-reference to the extracurricular and sporting event
Well,
policy?
actually, right after the word prohibited, you could add a few words right in there and bring it back. That's why we have to use prohibited during the school day, and then that covers that.
Or on the title of the policy, you know, you never prevent internet use during the school day.
But I think that's more than a school day, because you're prohibiting it during football games in the locker room or anything like that. So anything related to school in the locker room, that's going to cover that.
Well, we aren't during a football game. You know, anybody wants to pull out their own cell phone during a football game, they
In the
can
locker
record whatever they
room.
want. The locker room is different. That's state law. That has nothing to do with our policy whatsoever.
So then you can't really just say that this is just the school day, because it does cover other times in locker rooms when it's not part of the school day.
So if you amend that first sentence to say, except during, you know, circumstances such as sporting events, parades, that kind of thing, public events where photography would be expected. I mean, you just modify that first sentence by saying that, and that doesn't even touch the bathroom thing, it eliminates any need for cross-reference. Just a thought, and I don't know what you guys think.
Well, that's what we're trying to make a real general statement there. This was based on, you know, the School Boards Association recommended policies that we had. We're just making a broad statement saying it's prohibited unless you're given permission.
My concern is that it's too broad and that it can incorporate times when a student would be expected to be filming or anticipated normal use of the cameras. That's my concern, that it's too broad.
And my other comments is the first line, how this starts out, as these procedures are written. This isn't a procedure, this is a policy. Very first line.
Okay.
This policy is. I think the chair would call that.
You know,
Chair of the policy committee, right?
I would agree with Eric in terms of being, the policy itself needs to be broad. If you want to get in the details, then you need to have some administrative guidelines or put it into a handbook in terms of procedure. So I'd be very cautious in terms of creating a policy that's very specific. If there's clarity that's needed around it, that's typically when you would engage in some administrative guidelines that get more specific that include that. So because it's given by guidance by legal counsel, sometimes the changing of a word or something in terms like that could change the enforcement of it. So we want to proceed cautiously of that. That's where administrative guidelines are more what you're talking about. in terms of that.
Unless we have the guidelines and cross-reference them here, then we need to change,
Absolutely.
then we need to change the word to limit past legal counsel.
Could be.
I do agree with John on this, in looking at mobile devices, isn't it? And the way kids are using them today when you were, so I would argue with John that this would be too primitive. We wouldn't, a student who's at a football game recording would be, if this is this big, prohibited from doing that.
But remember, there's 5 other policies that are related to this. You're only seeing one of these in isolation. You see what I'm saying? That there are others, if you look at the cross-references, there are other policies that address.
So the general thing that we
Use them at football
The
games.
general thing that we got from legal counsel is, and for those of you who've been on the board since 2012 when we went through all of the tech policies, the big thing is the devil's in the details. And so legal counsel has addressed us and basically said, cut all the details out. And we've chopped out pages and pages and pages over the last couple of years in our tech policies for that reason. They don't want details in there. They want general broad statements. Generally, what we've been told is, you know, if it comes to a court case, God forbid, you'll argue it out there.
So you can take this back with what a couple of us talked about, and in your memo that you bring back to us when you, for a final vote, why don't you put all those references
Sure.
in there so we can look them up so that
Yep.
we at least are clear, because this is the kind of thing we get calls about.
I would like to see some sort of, in the cross-reference materials or in this particular, whichever one, I would like to see some sort of protection in there so we can't come after a student for just normal expected use, like videotaping in a football game,
Correct.
if it's appropriate.
Those could just be links, I'm not suggesting we need copies of all those policies.
Okay.
But if there's no protections in there for somebody doing something that's normally expected, then we need to put some in.
Okay, any other comments on this policy? We're good? All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
And we'll come back then at the next meeting. How about the first reading of revised policy 411.2, incidents of expressed bias or discrimination?
Dennis?
Go ahead. So good, Dennis? Does this work?
Yes.
This works.
Good answers.
Anyone else? Does anyone else? have
Minor
any-
change, but important.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, then this will come back as presented. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, 6 comments from the school board regarding items for future consideration. Does anyone have any? Seeing none, we'll move to board member. And I've got all the future ones listed right here, Clint, and they're coming
What
up
about
in
the,
September.
Advisory committee recommendations. How are we handling that?
Tonight, in the workshop.
Okay? And it won't be on our agenda?
It will be coming back on the 15th on financial facility and also on the board agenda, probably August 22nd. It's going to continue to be on our agenda almost every meeting. Is that your question? We're going to identify the timeline tonight as part of our workshop, so you should have specifics on that.
Well, I don't know, like, discuss, but okay,
We can discuss.
right.
Okay, we'll talk later. Any other board member announcements?
Yes, I have a couple.
Okay.
The Whitnall Falcon Booster Club Summer Social is August 18th from 6:30 to 7. It's free appetizers at Maddie's Bar and Restaurant, 14460 West College Avenue. I come talk to board members, the lead, committee leads, and other Whitnall High School parents. Fabulous and free raffle drawings. Also, I am a member of the Booster Club, and I am in charge of getting people to do the 50-50 raffle during football games. So if anybody would like to donate one game to me, let me know. I need a couple people per game. Basically, you get there about 6:30. We sell outside, right outside of the stadium until the game starts, and then we walk around during the game until halftime. And then after that, we watch the rest of the game. And it's a good way to give back to the community and to raise some money for our students and to meet people. So if you'd like to give some time, let me know. We have 5 games this year, home games.
All right. Any other announcements? Okay, seeing none, then we will, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. We'll take a short break.